Devin, when you're ready, start the recording. Okay. In these uncertain times, there is something that all businesses need: more clients. These are emotional times, and in order to connect with more clients and become more influential, you need to be a business development storyteller. Welcome to the Marketing with a Book and Speech Summit for March. Hi, I'm Henry DeVries, and as a Forbes.com columnist, I see how most consultants talk about their work in the same drab way. But there is one hidden asset that you have that will set you apart. No one else has it. No one else can offer this. It's your defining stories, your stories of taking prospects from mess to success, from problem to solution. When I was writing my bestseller, How to Close a Deal Like Warren Buffett, I discovered how Warren Buffett uses stories to persuade, gain media coverage, and become a world-famous brand. Currently, as the CEO of Indie Books International, I'm an author and editor of over 300 nonfiction books. I encourage authors to do what Hollywood does. Over the last 20 years, I've trained thousands of professionals how to use storytelling to attract prospects, close the sale, and cement client relationships. We have some authors with us today. We're going to have a little roundtable. I want them to demo telling a story that ties to their book. Also, we're going to cover how do you market with a book. I am the author of Marketing with a Book. This is how you hold up your book, by the way. You hold it up so if anybody takes a picture for social media, go ahead, then the title of your book and your face get up there at the same time. So I didn't write marketing a book. I wrote marketing with a book. It's how consultants attract high-paying clients by marketing with a book and a speech. I believe in my heart of hearts that a book is the #1 marketing tool for an independent consultant. And I also believe that speaking about the book is the #1 marketing strategy. We'll talk about both. We're going to give you a secret, the game changer, the #1 thing that we recommend doing, and how to do it at no cost. It's free. And Devin DeVries will be along to share that in our second half. But first, let's start. I was going to go with Kim and then Matt and Dr. Dave. So Kim, whenever you're ready.
Hello, Henry. Hello, Devin and Indie Books. And thank you today. Thank you very much for inviting me here today to talk about my new book, The Damn Plan: How to Find Freedom, Love, and Money in Your Business. Yep, I said it. DAMN. DAM. D is for determined decisions. A is for act consistently. M is for mind your business. No excuses. And I can tell you firsthand my story that working my damn plan, having a damn plan, and then working my damn plan brought me from flipping couch cushions, looking for spare change, to living life on my terms with a business that gave me the money to do it. But the story is about Vanessa. Vanessa is one of my favorite clients, to be honest, because I could see myself in Vanessa. She had been in business for years. She, from all outward appearances, when she was in public, she looked like she was fine. She looked like everything was great. Vanessa looked like she was successful, but in private, outside of the eyes of the public, she was watching her business die. She was watching her business dream die. She was broke. She was up to her ears in debt and somewhat unwilling to face the truth. The truth, you see, is the underlying current that flows through the entire damn plan process. We must face the truth. We must look at the truth. And the truth is the facts and numbers of your business. Numbers don't lie. And you need to turn around and face them just the same as Vanessa did. So here she is sitting in front of me and she's going, Kim, I just know if I only sell more of my signature product, this beautiful, beautiful product that I make that everyone loves, I know if I sell more of that, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll have a great year next year. I put together a quick spreadsheet for Vanessa that identified all of her numbers, the facts, the truth, the variable cost, the fixed cost of her business. And then I said, Vanessa, how many are you going to sell of this beautiful product, this number one product you have? And so she doubled the number from last year and it went red. The bottom line grew. She doubled it again and it grew. She did it a third time. She goes, well, Kim, your spreadsheet's wrong. And I said, well, Vanessa, put 0 in that cell. She put 0 in and suddenly the truth was there. The one product she loved so much was sinking her ship, sinking her business. And now it was time to act on her truth. Well, Vanessa quit selling that product. She moved forward. She has a fabulous business now that she loves and the freedom she desires and the money she needs to live life on her terms. In 2020, in spite of the pandemic, she had her best year ever. Damn, that was what Vanessa said. And that's what I want you to say every day of the week in your business.
Thank you, Kim. Great way to start us off. I'm going to do a little pattern interrupt here. We're going to hear some more, but I always find that people come to a call like this for a reason. There's something that they want to learn or get out of it, and we can tailor what we talk about depending on the needs of the whole group. So I thought I'd like to just hear from Matt and Dave, and then Mitch, and then Rob. In under a minute, what brought you here today? What are you hoping to get out of this discussion with other authors?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you. Henry, whenever I'm around you and the group that you've put together, I come away so inspired by all the fabulous talent, and I always learn something. So I'm always delighted to be in conversation with you and the authors in your orbit.
Thanks. Dave Striegel, what are you hoping to get out of today?
I think as much as anything, confirmation that I'm on the right track, and just to parrot what Matt shared, when I'm around other people who are headed in the same path or down the same path that I am, and who have such tremendous backgrounds and talent, it just reaffirms the commitment and energy that I'm putting into mine. So that's what I always gain from these events.
Thanks. Mitch, what brought you here today? And you're on mute right now.
You came to the Magic Castle like a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I saw your talk there and I was like inspired by that. So I have like 30 years as an advertising creative director. So I'm thinking of trying to put out some content as a marketer and teach people how to like market their business. And so I can bring like worldwide, I worked on like TurboTax and QuickBooks and Acura. And I can bring that kind of experience and teach people who run smaller businesses how to market the same way that large multinational companies do.
Well, that sounds very interesting. Thanks for being with us, and good seeing you again.
Yeah.
I long for the days back at the Magic Castle.
I know, I do too. I miss it very much.
Yes. We also mentioned baseball and Disneyland and a lot of things, but we'll be back. Rob, if you want to take yourself off mute and give us a little window into your world, what brought you here today?
I am new to this group, it seems like. I'm actually coming towards the end of actually writing a book about my experiences. I've led large-scale transformation programs in operations, strategy, technology. I've done 5 major programs for Nike, and I have a very different take on how you develop teams and organizations to take on these transformations, and it's pretty different than what most large firms do out there. So I want to figure out how to get this content out there and share. And so I'm open to new groups of people to help me think about this and see what other folks are doing.
Okay. Well, Rob, it's not like a standing group, though I know many people on the call, so you don't have to feel like an outsider. And anybody who has a Van Gogh poster behind him, he's good by me. So thanks for being here today.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, how about David Goldman? Thanks for joining us. Just a minute on what you're trying to learn now and get from groups like this to promote your work and your book. And then we'll have a story from you in a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Henry. I anytime Henry gives me an opportunity to join a group or be with him, I just say yes. So I'm not exactly sure of the entire context of this, but when he gives you an opportunity to do something, I've learned over the years, I just say yes.
Thank you. And you're looking pretty sharp today there, David.
I appreciate that. I do the best I can.
Yeah. Megan, if you could just window into your world real quick, a minute on why you're here, if you could unmute, and then there you go.
I'm not telling my story right now, right?
No, you're not telling your story yet.
Okay. So I'm Megan Kent, and I am about to finish a book, and now I'm learning that finishing a book is just the beginning, and I have to figure out how to get it out there and publicize it. And honestly, like, I didn't even know how to write a book, and now I really don't know any kind of marketing strategies to help me gain publicity and get my word out there. So I joined Henry's group. And I'm already so excited about the tips and tricks and strategies that I'm learning after only 3 days of being part of it.
Well, glad you're here.
Thank you.
Somebody's going to join us soon. And when he comes on, I'll let him speak and we'll work him in. He's Scott Hamilton from the Executive Next Practices Institute. So another way is he's a meeting planner. He's a speech booker. And he puts authors on his stages across the US. So they have events in New York and out in Southern California. And we've been virtual. He's out of the University of California, Irvine, as part of a innovation center there. So when he arrives, I'll have him jump in. But going back to our order, if Matt could tell a little client story, that'd be great.
You bet. I'd be happy to. Ready, fire, aim. Running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Paralysis by analysis. We use these sayings to describe people's behaviors. We can also use these to describe team behaviors. When I received a call from my client, Paul, he explained that his team was not addressing product problems causing customer complaints. Paul said that he himself was getting calls from cranky customers. Now, you know how some people are eternal optimists? Well, Paul is just such a person. He wants to stay focused on positive things, and bless his soul, he's constitutionally incapable of dealing with negativity. For him, getting customer complaints was beyond the pale, which is why he called me. After I assessed the situation, I advised them that if problems weren't brought directly into light, they would never get fixed. We ended up calling his situation sweeping problems under the rug. And what needed to happen was to fold back that rug, expose the problems, and sweep them out. We also came to grips with the fact that Paul himself was not the person to lead this. Being unable to focus on negatives, in this case, the product problems, he had to assign someone else to serve in that role. In my book, Teamwork 9.0, I show how there are 9 distinct working styles, each with its own unique set of strengths. We identified a person in the organization to lead this effort, John. John is a great helper and not afraid to address problems head on. Paul also put a team around John who are capable of addressing and resolving the problems. Paul put the right people in the right positions at the right time. Soon, products became more reliable. They stopped being returned, and importantly, perfectly positive Paul stopped getting gnawingly negative calls. The right people in the right positions at the right time, a key ingredient to highly effective teams.
Thanks, Matt. I want to show everybody, if you're invited to give a talk, a speech, and how are you going to launch into it? A story. You see, we're all, human brains are hardwired for stories. So that's something we're demonstrating here. Matt, I liked the prop. I think you picked that up recently, the little whisk broom. Nice touch. We also know that human brains are hardwired. That's a whole nother discussion. So thanks for that. Dr. Dave, love to hear from you, please.
Well, thanks, Henry. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about my upcoming book, Take Your Shot, How Small Business Owners Can Consistently Lead at a Higher Level. And in the book, I take my experience working with elite amateur as well as professional athletes and my background in sports psychology and apply that to small business owners. And one of the stories that is an anchor of the book is Tim. And Tim actually was a Major League Baseball umpire of over 20 years. And he came to me as a referral from a former client of mine who was a pitcher in the Mets organization. And Tim was a family friend of his, and Tim was in trouble. Even after 20 years in the business, the reality of umpiring was really starting to weigh on him. And for those of you who are not familiar with Major League Baseball umpiring, the way it has evolved over the last probably 6 or 8 years is, if you could imagine walking into your office every morning, and as soon as you hit the light switch, you turn on a video camera. And that video camera is on and traces every step you take and every word you say until you get up and leave at the end of the day and flip the light switch off. And not only that, you have a bank of video cameras and people in another city whose sole purpose is to evaluate every step you took and every word you said. So think about that for a second. That's pressure. And not only that, to make it even worse, you have people watching on television who are then able to just skewer you for every mistake you make, every call they think you made wrong on Twitter or some other social media platform. So that's the reality of being a Major League Baseball umpire. Oh, an instant replay. Now every call you make is dissected to the millisecond. Tim wasn't dealing with it well, and he'd been around the industry in baseball for a long time. And when we met for the first time back in 2013, he said, Dave, if I don't turn this around, I'm making mistakes that rookie umpires make. If I don't turn this around and really get my career on track, then I'm going to probably be out of baseball in a couple of years. And either I'm going to quit or they're going to fire me, one or the other. But I just can't have this continue the way it is. So we went to work, and I implemented what I call a performance evolution plan, which is detailed in the book. And at the core of it for Tim was really starting to get his mind right. And that's really one of the initial steps that every performer, small business owner or athlete or whomever has to do, is get their mind right. And that means adopt a growth mindset. And specifically in Tim's case, he had to remember that he could change, even after having been in an umpire for upwards of 20 to 25 years. He could change no matter how stuck he felt. The second step we had to take was totally changing his approach to his job on the field. because that's really where his passion was. Everything that happened on the field was just created the pressure. And ultimately, the objective he needed to acquire, or the skill he needed to acquire, was a present tense focus. Because in Major League Baseball, and for those of you who watch, it may seem really slow, but when something happens, it happens in a split second, because you have some of the best athletes on the planet performing. And if your mind isn't in the moment and you're trying to think ahead or anticipate, then you're going to make a mistake. And that's what Tim was doing. So I had to help him get back to being in the present tense, not worried about the politics of the game, not worried about being evaluated. Just call what you see. And we implemented some additional strategies too, that once he did, in the span of 3 years, he went from the bottom 10% to the top 10% of umpires, was named to the playoffs, the All-Star game, and just this last year in 2020, he was asked to fill in as a crew chief on various teams, various crews. And that's the pinnacle of his profession. So you might be asking yourself, why am I talking about an umpire when the book is about small business owners being better leaders? The reason why is because every small business owner is watched, just like an umpire is. And leadership is a performance. So you as a leader have to perform first before you can lead anyone. So Tim's example really set the stage and illustrates that having the right mindset, a little bit of understanding of how the brain works, and a couple of key performance enhancement strategies means that your future can be different from your past too. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave. So Dave, I thought you did a great job. I just, for the sake of other people here, let's give them 3 other names of people you've worked with in the world of sports.
Well, as in Tim's case, that's not his real name. And so a lot of athletes don't like to be known. But one athlete that I've spent, 10 years working with was a gentleman named Eric Schlegel. And if I were to ask you to guess what sport he competes in, you'd probably guess snow skiing, and you'd be right. He was a 3-time Olympian in downhill, all the alpine skiing events. And he really, it kind of epitomized this notion of the pursuit of excellence. Another athlete, if you will, that is one of the more interesting ones that I spent time with was a gentleman named Josh Waitzkin, who was a professional chess player and actually had a movie about his early years made about him called Searching for Bobby Fischer. And I worked with Josh when he was in his early 20s and really trying to continue to grow in his pursuit of excellence as a chess player. And so it runs the gambit of the people I've had an opportunity to spend time with from all different walks of life. And I apply those lessons in the book to small business owners who are really striving to do the same in their businesses.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. That was perfect. I was demonstrating something to everybody. I'm a journalist. Sometimes you're going to be interviewed by journalists and they're going to throw you a question. Important learning from your question was that you tell these stories. Some stories we tell real names, and others we use like a first name, and we give some indication that this is a true story, but some names have been changed to protect confidentiality. So Dave demonstrated all that. Great job. Our special guest is here, Scott Hamilton from the Executive Next Practices Institute. So Scott is somebody who puts on events, books speakers. He puts on events in New York and Southern California when we get to all meet again, but sort of online and virtual. And I just thought it'd be great if he could share a little bit about Executive Next Practices Institute and how you could check out these meetings, and maybe it's a place for you to speak one day. Scott, thanks for joining us. Unmute when you're ready, and drop some wisdom on us.
Sounds great, Henry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're good. Thanks for allowing me to jump in here. Over the past decade, Executive Next Practice Institute. That can also be read Executive Next Practices or Entrepreneurial Next Practices or Enterprise Next Practices. You take the E that fits for you. We've done over 400 forums now across the globe. And Henry's been nice enough to speak at our conferences in the past. But our whole aim has been to gather the C-suites, CEOs, CMOs, the entire leadership teams, as well as people from different industry sectors to look at emerging trends, potentially transformative strategies, and building what we called what's next, these next practices for their companies and their organizations. So as Henry mentioned, our forums now, we do literally dozens a year now in a virtual format, and migrate back to in-person and hybrid events the latter part of this year. So we're always in search of good speakers who represent some cutting edge content. If you've got a book, it's even better if it's pre-published or about to be published. Our audience tends to like to look at things that other people haven't seen. So we're always on the lookout for these things that the marketplace is not familiar with or is an emerging trend. I'll give you a quick example. Blockchain. Everybody knows what blockchain is now, but we presented blockchain to our audience 5 years ago, and virtually no one in the audience knew what blockchain was at that point. Same thing for Bitcoin. So we'd like to look at these kind of emerging trends and allow organizations to take a peek in the future and stay ahead of their competition. So I'll stop there for just a minute, Henry, and other aspects you'd like me to cover. Let's see, you're muted, Henry. There we go.
I need to get that sweatshirt. Henry, you're muted. I would love to hear about a couple of the upcoming events specifically, because they also could attend and check it out. So why don't you share about that?
Well, I see a lot of people on this call, and then of course your viewers are interested in customers and clients and client development. So March 25th, that's coming up just a couple of weeks. We have our 8th annual customer centricity event. And our partner organization on that is called CXPA. It's the Customer Experience Professional Association, and also a local organization called OC Product Managers. So that's March 25th. By the way, all this can be found on our website at enpinstitute.com, Edward Nancy Paul Institute.com, or just Google Executive Next Practice and our website will come up many, many times. So at ENP Institute, you'll see the events page and all these listings, but March 25th, Customer Centricity. That one is, we have a guest pass, so you just can register directly as a guest, followed immediately in April by our Global Transformation event with Worldwide Employee Relocation Council, WERC. It's an organization of 17,000 people involved with talent mobility. That's April 29th is the Global Transformation. Then if you look at the site, this is coming up, I believe it's being posted today. In May, we're doing these smaller events. In this case, it's with US Bank, their private wealth division, where we're going to look at exit strategies for business owners. As you know, capital gains taxes are going to change in 2022 and 2023 substantially. So you're seeing many business owners are starting to look at exiting their either their family-owned business or their privately owned company in the next 12, 18 months. Many of them are in that active mode. So our workshop is on how they prepare for that and take them through the entire diligence to sales cycle. So those are 3 events coming up. Again, particularly this customer centricity event next on the March 25th is something you should look at. The one other thing I'll make an offer to you, Henry is part, so is Devin, is part of this. We have an internal group of advisors called ENP advisors who act as just like it sounds like de facto board members. They're out searching for speakers and content. We meet this Friday afternoon at 3:30, March 12th. And the topic for March 12th among our advisors is how to create a more robust referral channel through your affiliates and advocates. And Henry has been working with our group for some time now on how these advisors can get even better at escalating the number of referrals they get, both from informal advocates as well as also the paid referral network. That's this Friday on March 12th. And Henry, I can share that Zoom link with your team here so people can join that.
Thank you, Scott. That was great. And stay on as long as you like, but I know you've got to run. I appreciate you giving us some time here. So it just shows lots of opportunities, even during this pandemic, to speak and to get involved with a target-rich environment. Now, I don't want to put words in Scott's mouth. It's unsanitary, but we don't call ENP a networking group. Our purpose is not networking. It's about education and its interaction. When you attend ENP meetings, everyone who attends is going to interact. It's the wisdom of the team. There are CEOs, other C-level executives there, very high-level advisors. It's a very high-level group. It's not, and no offense to a provisors or anything like that. They have their place in the world. But it's not the share 3 leads and form a troika and see who you can get more business to the lawyer and the accountant kind of group. That is not what this is about. And it's out of the University of California, Irvine. And it has that feel. Okay, it's not the only game in town, but Scott and I have been working together for, is it 15 years? Yeah, we were children.
15.
We started when we were children together. And 15 years in growing this group. And
it was high school, but who's counting? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, I want to go on to hear David Goldman. David, if you could share, that'd be great.
Thank you, Henry, for asking, and thanks for inviting me to speak on my book, The Road to Happiness: How to Get What You Really Want. And the year is 1995. The place, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Joe, a financial advisor, was frustrated, confused, and concerned. He did very well. He made a lot of money, and he just didn't realize the price he was paying. The other night, his wife came to him and said, "We have the lifestyle, we just don't have you. Maria is in 9th grade and Chris is already in 6th. Your children are going to be leaving home soon and they don't even know who you are." Joe reflected and realized that that was the same relationship he had had with his father. That's when he decided to meet with me. And Joe hired me to give him more time with his family without reducing his income. He didn't care so much about making more money, but he certainly didn't want to make any less. Joe worked 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 in the evening, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock until noon on Saturday. And on Sundays, he would play golf with his friends. Pretty typical. At my suggestion, Joe restructured his weekdays so that he would get home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when his children got home from school. That would give him 3 hours of quality time with them. And then, for the first time in years, he would have dinner with the whole family. It wasn't easy at first. His kids wondered, who is this guy? And why is he spending so much time with us? Joe also struggled with the generations old notion that putting in a lot of hours was the real key to success. What I finally got Joe to see was, it's not the hours that you put in, it's what you put into the hours. Slowly but surely, Joe started to see results. His kids loved spending time with him. His marriage flourished, but the real breakthrough came in his business. What he realized and saw was that spending less time, he started to focus about more intensity in the actual hours and found that he could get everything he wanted to accomplish completed from 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. I'll never forget the day that Joe came to me and he said, "Thank you. You've not only changed the way I see things, you've given me back my family. Today, 25 years later, Joe is retired. His daughter is a successful attorney, married with 2 children. Her husband took over Joe's business. Joe's son is also successful as an engineer, also married with 2 children. And they all love Joe, adore him, and love spending time with him. Today, Joe spends his afternoons with his wife and his grandchildren, and then on Sundays, they all have dinner together. Most importantly, Joe is a happy man. He got what he really wanted.
Thank you, David. Great job. So if you're wondering, how do I learn to do stories like this? David was not born with this ability. Nobody on the call was. It's learned. And 2 books I recommend. One is Storytelling Made Easy by Michael Haig. It's published by Indie Books. And also, with complete modesty, Persuade with a Story by me, Henry DeVries. These books give you the techniques to do this. Also, I have a website, persuadewithastory.com. Lots of free resources there and video training on how to hone your ability as a storyteller. And these were not long stories. These stories are 2 to 4 minutes, but they're so impactful. Megan, why don't you share your story? We didn't publish your book. We've just met recently. I see a storytelling ability in you. So if you could please share.
Need to go off mute. Okay. Thank you, Devin and Henry, for inviting me to speak on my soon-to-be published book, Build an Irresistible Brand, featuring my 7 trademark brain-friendly branding principles. So my governing philosophy is you can't reason someone into loving you. Why? Well, guess what? Science tells us that 95% of our decisions are made in the subconscious mind. That messy stew of feelings, emotions, and memories that actually lie below our awareness. So as marketers, we must then learn to speak the language of the real drivers, the feelings processed in our subconscious minds. So I'm going to give you an example of how this can work. In 2012, the Obama administration decided to fund America's first ever global tourism campaign in an effort to jumpstart the economy and create badly needed jobs by bringing in overseas tourists. You see, every 33 tourists equals 1 new US job. So I pitched and won this business with my team at JWT Advertising and was charged with architecting its worldwide launch. The client, Brand USA, wasn't exactly a mess. It didn't even exist yet. It was our job to build the brand from scratch. So prior to launch, we conducted a tremendous amount of consumer research around the world to better understand people's impressions of America at the time, in order to address potential barriers to visit. You see, we noticed that America's share of global tourism market was down 37% over the previous decade. We had to figure out what was going on. Well, what we found was disheartening. We found that foreigners actually felt that America had become, 1, unwelcoming, due to the harsh new policies post 9/11, making it incredibly difficult for foreigners to enter our country. Some even said America had become too brash and too arrogant. The other thing we found, sadly, is that America felt too familiar now. You see, we were no longer seen as the new shiny penny, the new frontier. A lot of people said, well, I've already seen it all on Hollywood. I've seen it in the movies. We were actually now seen as kind of middle-aged old news. There were newer, shinier places now open to tourists, offering new kinds of fresh and exciting experiences like Southeast Asia, Dubai, China, Taiwan. So I realized that under no circumstances could we parade a chest-beating, flag-waving, look how great we are parade of the country's greatest hits. Disneyland, Times Square, Hollywood, the Grand Canyon, and certainly not the White House. This would only have cemented their sense of our arrogance and confirmed that they already knew all there was to know about America. No, we had to show, not tell, a welcoming, inviting, fresh, and unexpected view of this nation. So what did we do? We deployed a strategy of not saying a word. Instead, we relied on the universal language of music. We hired the incredibly lovely Roseanne Cash, Johnny's daughter, to create an original song fashioned after Woody Guthrie's "This Land Is Your Land." We invited musicians from every corner of the world, white, black, brown, yellow, red, to accompany Roseanne with their own instruments while singing Land of Dreams, the song she created on the water's shore underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. The song takes the viewer through never before seen images of America, hidden walks through the wetlands of Louisiana, outdoor bingo games among Cubans in Miami, a gay couple embracing on a trolley in New Orleans, parahawking in San Diego, water ski boarding, this was incredible, on glaciers in Alaska, a Holi festival of colors in Utah, a circular sand art creation on a beach in San Francisco. In other words, things that people had never seen in this country before, things that would cause them to go, wow, that's something fresh and new. The result? The social media response was off the charts. It was extremely gratifying. People said things like, that's settled. I'm going to America. I love the diversity, the sights, the scenes, the music. It makes me see America in a whole new light. The client received a 40-to-1 return on the media investment within the first year. We saw the highest foreign visitation numbers in a decade, and 30,000 new jobs were created. That's the power of connecting through feelings, images, and music versus reason. So think about one of my favorite sayings from the famous poet Maya Angelou. It's less about what you say, and more importantly, how does your brand make people feel? Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. So I invited Megan less than 24 hours ago to speak. And she said what every author should say. Yes, I can.
I wasn't happy about it.
You should be prepared to speak for 30 seconds up to 3 days when asked. Because how do you get more speaking engagements? You speak. And you get recorded and people hear you. And they hear about your book. More people will be impacted by hearing about your book than reading your book. As an author of 14 books, it's a sad but true statement. I get it. And that's okay. It's how we consume information. We need the sound bites. We need the little stories. We need the vignettes to see if we want to go deeper. So you should be willing to speak for 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Those are great showcase opportunities for an author. We're going to have one more speaker. Now, here's an offer. If you want to have what we call a book chat, it's a no-cost strategic call with Devin. Devin will be speaking next. She can help you get clarity around the goal for a book, clarity around the assets you have to promote the book, to create the book, the roadblocks you face. Now, a roadblock shouldn't stop anybody here, but they do slow you down. You got to get around them, over them, through them. And she'll help you get clear on how others have gotten from where you are right now to where you want to go. It takes about 30 minutes. And it's wherever you are in the journey. If the book's coming out, if you want some promo advice, Devin is also an expert on social media and using social media to sell books. Well, with that, I asked Devin to come today to talk about a game changer, the game changer we have found for consultants. And if I would have you do one thing, this is the one thing I'd advise you to do. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Devin.
Thank you, Henry. So yeah, what I would like to talk to you today about is the game changer of a small scale seminar. So what we mean when we talk about a small scale seminar is this is an event you host yourself. It's usually no cost or very low cost of offer. And it's just a generous sharing of your expertise. So in this virtual world, it's 60 minutes tops. But what it does is it gives you an opportunity to share your style, share your expertise in what for your audience is kind of a safe space. So it's a group, it's not a sales pitch that they're walking into. So it is a way for them to get a glimpse of you, and then from that, see if you're somebody that they might want to work with or pursue. So it really does attract clients to you doing this strategy. So I'll tell a quick story to illustrate just how powerful this can be. 7 years ago, we founded Indie Books International. And as a new player in the publishing world, Henry knew that we needed to form some strategic partnerships in the industry so that we could better serve our clients and also grow our business. So he had done some research and found the #1 public relations company for promoting authors and books was a firm out of Tampa, Florida called News and Experts. And he was able to get a call with their CEO, Marcia. And they had a nice kind of initial opening chat, which ended as those often do, with Marcia saying, well, this all sounds very interesting. The next time you're in Florida, why don't you come by the office and we'll talk more about what we can do together. So Henry hangs up the phone, comes out to me in my office and says, when's the next open date on our calendar? And I said, about 3 weeks from now, the beginning of September. And he said, great, we're going to Florida. I said, okay. And he calls Marcia back up to say, oh, it just so happens I'm going to be in Orlando the first weekend of September. They were able to make an appointment. And then she asked, what's bringing you to Florida? And Henry said, I'm putting on my marketing with a book and speech summit. Now, what Marcia didn't know at that point was he made up the reason for going to Florida. But she said, well, that sounds very interesting. I'd love to attend that as well. So here we are. It's 3 weeks to fill a room so we don't look like posers in front of the CEO we're trying to impress. But here's the problem. We're a Southern California-based startup. We know nobody in that region of the country at the time. Our constant contact database, 0 people. So what were we going to do? And that's when we turned to LinkedIn as a marketing outreach tool. Now, I love LinkedIn. All that information we all put in our profiles is searchable. So it's an amazing resource that most of us don't really tap into. And I developed a really simple 2-step invitation process using LinkedIn. Now, I'll just give you the real brief overview, but if you want more details on how this works or to see some sample messages, we have a white paper on it I'm happy to send after. But basically, it just starts with knowing your who. So as detailed as you can be about your target audience, the better you'll be able to search. And then what's your topic? What's the topic that is gonna catch those people's eye? Because the sad truth on web marketing is you have seconds seconds to grab their attention. So you do want to make sure the topic is, something that's on their mind. What is the problem that is keeping them up? Or, what is a challenge that they are looking for a solution for? And then frame your event title around that. So I'll pause real fast for a personal note about myself. I love that I can basically work anywhere in the world with Wi-Fi, but if I could choose one place to have my office, it would be Main Street of Disneyland. I am a Disney nut. Henry knows this about me, and he also believes in setting goals with incentives. So he said, if you can get 12 people to sign up for this event in 3 weeks' time, I will buy you a ticket to Disney World while we're in Florida. So to me, that was like challenge accepted. And using that process I explained, I hit LinkedIn, our target, our consultant. So basically any consultant I could find within a 2-hour drive of Orlando, Florida. And in the end, I was able to get 15 people to sign up for the event. We met with Marsha. It's been an amazing partnership to this day. She's done fantastic things for our authors, getting them articles, radio, local TV, national TV spots. And she's also been a referral source for us. One of our largest contracts to date was a referral from Marsha. But that isn't even the best part of the story. We wrote business that covered the expense of that entire trip before we even left our offices in California as a direct result of those LinkedIn messages. So we had a couple people receive the invite. One person said, I can't make that date, but I have been looking for a ghostwriter. Can you help me with that? And hired Henry for that service. And then the other person, and this was kind of an interesting side effect of this strategy, is that when you send them a message, they're going to go check out your profile and see who you are, what you do. And they had noticed that Henry is a Vistage speaker. And they had said, I've been trying to get into the Vistage speaking world. Can you help me with that? And bought 2 coaching sessions, which again isn't even our main menu items, but was a nice bonus. And like I said, that was all before the event even happened. We know every event we do will lead to business in some way. So either somebody in the room or somebody in the room that hears and then refers down the line. It's just the more generous we are with our time and our information, the more we see it grow. And the last thing I want to share for this strategy, the real key to it is at the end of every presentation, make sure you have an easy next step offer. So again, not something that you're selling, but an easy next step, no cost offer of a strategy call. So for us, Henry talked about it, we call it the book chat. So genuine offer, but also a model of what we want you to do. Happy to talk about web marketing, websites, book projects, whatever you want to talk about, we'll help you get clarity on and offer some helpful tips on that. But what is it in your world? Having that easy next step for them will open the door to future opportunities. And with that, I will turn it back over to Henry.
Thank you, Devin, so much. Thank you. I love your story because I'm the nemesis character. I'm the villain of that story. I'm the boss who just shot from the hip and then created a problem for you. And you solved it with flying colors, and you did enjoy Disney World there. For those of you who don't know, Devin is a partner at Indie Books. She is my daughter. When Mark LeBlanc, my partner, and I formed this business, he said, we're going to have to find a third person, this control tower person, this person who'll make the trains run on time. I said, I know such a person. She's in Seattle. She's working for a big corporation. We'll make the entrepreneur speech. We went up and visited her, And her only condition was we never make her speak in front of people. So like all great entrepreneurs, we said, sure, no problem. And now she does such a wonderful job. Thank you, Devin. Well, thank you to everybody. Those were sincere authors. You probably thought, oh, when is he going to make this big pitch for the 7 CD set or the today and today only, you have to sign up or you lose the discount. You're a loser if you don't. No, that's not happening. We do these phone calls every month. Everyone is different. Different people talking about the process. We do different trainings that are free or low cost to help you out. We really want to help independent consultants. Our mission is to be the Henry Ford of business books. So a business book and the promotion of a business book is affordable to every consultant. Thank you for listening today. And if we can be of help, just give us a shout. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.